Hello everyone, this is Julia from Mind You, and I am excited to have a new guest with me for the series of Mind of the Month. And as you know, I'm aiming to bring to you experts in their specialty fields. And today I've got a friend who is specializing in cell biology. And my friend is Brigitt Angst. Hello, Brigitt.
Hello, everyone.
It's great to have you here on air. And we are going to dive into a topic which we decided to call You Can Change Your Genes. And this is really fascinating. And I'm so pleased that you can join me here. And we want to give everyone a good understanding, something practical as well. And so you might want to tell us a little bit about you so that we know why you are the expert here on this topic.
So I'm Brigitte. I'm a cell biologist. I have a PhD in clinical immunology. I've been in research, in biomedical research for 20 years. And I am passionate about vibrant, empowered aging. And this relates really well to the topic we are covering today. And I'm delighted to be sharing this information with you all.
Oh, fantastic. And for you listeners out there, if you have any questions, by all means, send comments. This is a highly specific topic and area we are touching on. And we are giving our best to bring it down to non-jargon vocabulary, so that everyone can get a good understanding. Thank you, Brigitte, for joining us. And we're doing this live from England. No time difference this time, which I'm very pleased about. Okay, so Brigitte, just imagine you are born with what we assume is a unique set of genes, right? So people assume that's it, that's what we've got. And for a long time, I thought so myself before I studied and looked into all sorts of areas of medicine. But there are new research, new research is done that actually it's not just down to how we are born with this unique set of genes. We can do something about it. So just assume there is a 40-year-old and, somehow life is happening and they believe they're not feeling as great anymore. Motivation is lacking. They're tired and they have just, they don't know what to do with themselves and they believe that's just who they are. What's your take on that?
This is we are living in really exciting times because I think we're living through major times of changes. When I was studying biology, this was certainly the perceived knowledge that we are born with a fixed set of DNA. Every person is unique in the set of DNA that you receive.
Yeah.
And that's it. You've been dealt the card and that's it. Get on with life. And of course, now research is progressing in leaps and bounds. And I'm particularly excited about two fields of research. One is neurobiology and neuroplasticity, and really understanding how plastic our brain is right until death.
Yeah, so meaning plastic means it's not fixed and set in stone. Things can change. And there are possibilities how you actually have an impact on that yourself.
Yeah, that would be actually
neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a whole new interview.
Monthly
updates to follow. And the second area
is epigenetics, and that's really, when it comes down to your genes, that's the one that's relevant, because yes, we are born with a set of DNA, but that's just the beginning. Every epigenetics now, and I'm going to explain a little bit what that means, shows us that everything we think, we do, our environment, physical or emotional, they shape our not only our being, but it shapes our cellular well-being and our cellular health. And aging, which is my particular topic, can be seen as a weakening of cell regeneration.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just to say that again, you are saying that although we have a set of genes, their epigenetics means, this field of science means that with our set of genes, it is dependent on environmental and other elements around us which influence the how our genes are coming to life and how they express themselves.
Yes, and if I explain it, and I hope it's in terms that everybody can understand. So you can imagine you have chromosomes. On the chromosomes, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. On those chromosomes, we have all the genes. And those genes sit there. And they are then expressed into RNA and proteins. And those proteins then shape our cells.
Mm-hmm.
And the belief was that that's just one way it travels. It goes from DNA to proteins and that and other biochemical components that build our cells, and that's it. And now we know that DNA is only the blueprint. It's like you see an architect's plan of a house. That's not the house. So the cell actually, and Bruce Lipton in his book, The Biology of Beliefs, writes about this really elegantly. So people who are really curious about those kind of topics and want some understandable inside knowledge, it's a book really worth connecting with. And I say again, The Biology of Belief.
Yes, and I agree. It's highly fascinating, even if you are a non-subject reader, like if you're not reading those books normally, it highlights new things in your life which are just so profound because they are us, they are who we are, how we are built. And we carry ourselves around this world, and day to day we wake up, we go to bed, we do certain things in life which, if we pay attention, we can actually have an impact on how our well-being is shaping and how our health and our aging is going forward. So as this is your passion as well, the longevity and long living aspect, I wonder, and I've read that somewhere, maybe you can tell me more about that. Cells, when we look at cells, they are reproducing themselves every time they get this information what they are. So they are either a skin cell or they are an eye cell or whatever cell they are. So in a normal process, we do get renewed. That's right, isn't it? So we notice that when our fingers grow or we have a wound and it heals. So that's how our cells work for us. What does that mean in terms of how long does it take for a body to be renewed? Or as you are the cell biologist, what's important to understand there in this renewing process, also with the aspect of long living?
Yeah, so let me just go take a little, before I answer that, just take a little step back. So for epigenetics, it's really important to understand that the outside information that's coming in, so what a cell receives on the surface of the cell, then goes to the DNA and triggers sets of genes that are important to be expressed in those circumstances. That's how it becomes, for example, a skin cell or a blood cell or a brain cell. And that's also how we influence with what we eat and with what we think and all of that. So having all of this, if we think about cells, we are made of trillions of cells and they need to be renewed. And I like to use the example of skin because it's so visible.
Yeah.
So if you imagine we are sitting here now and we have nice skin and the skin actually rejuvenates all the time from within. It takes about 30 days to grow a totally new skin. So if we met in a month, we would be sitting in a new skin.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you imagine that, it takes a lot of cells to do that. When your cell regeneration is weakening, your skin will become what we perceived as aged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you have no cell regeneration, I dread to think what you would look like after 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's highly important to have all this cell regeneration going on all the time. And if we take this for the whole body, in about 11 months, the cells in your body will be new cells.
All the cells in our body.
A lot of them, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm kind of. That's why we usually say almost all of the cells.
Yeah.
So I imagine the heart is one of the most stable organs.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why it's also so crucial to look after your heart health. And it's also an organ, interestingly, that doesn't get cancer. And cancer has to do with cell replication.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
So
that's very interesting. So it's just the blood then, the cells in the blood, which can be cancerous, but not the heart as an organ itself. That's what you're saying.
If you're just looking at blood and heart alone,
Yeah. Fascinating, because cancer obviously is something you quickly think about when you talk about epigenetics and cells and the reproduction of cells. So very briefly, if we touch on that, and what we are saying that cells have a certain message they carry, can we influence then, as you say, we can change our genes, as this is our topic. Does this then also mean we can change our cell information, touching here on something like cellular healing? Or, I am a believer that we can go deep down to those informations, but from your perspective, what do you see there?
Yeah, we really can change our, what I call our cellular behavior.
Yeah.
So it depends what we do. So for example, lifestyle changes, if you measure that, and you measure that what kind of genes the cell express before and after the lifestyle changes, you will actually be able to measure a different set of genes being activated. I don't know, does that make sense in general terms, if I explain it shortly like that?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, lifestyle changes are based on your environment. If we think about where we live, how we live our life, it doesn't need to, there is alcohol, sleep patterns, medication, but also the social life around us, I guess, in how many healthy relationships we live and how we connect to people, how all of this is lifestyle, and lifestyle changes have an impact on our body, like literally on our cells. That's the kind of talking, isn't it?
Yes.
And we know how it feels when we are surrounded by well-meaning people. It just fills our heart and our soul, and we feel so good from deep within. So there is a connection to that. We fill ourselves up, and as if you are kind of massaging, giving your cells the best treatment ever so that they can reproduce in a healthy way.
And then it's a really good example what you're describing. You're feeling good and you're happy and you are thriving. What that means on a biochemical level is that there is biochemical pathways are being activated.
That's the pathways being activated.
Yeah. Biochemical pathways are being activated that will have an effect on the cells. So when you feel happy, when you feel good all the time, your cells receive different signals, and they're actually physically different.
That is so fascinating. So, and that again means you can change your genes because you have an influence on them. You yourself, the way you live, the way you treat yourself, the way you look after yourselves from the moment go. When is the time you say you need to start looking after yourself to live a long and happy, healthy life?
So, if I express it really extremely, I would talk to the young people today thinking of having children. And before they have children, think about what their health is before they start conceiving. Because research even shows nowadays that what a growing fetus experiences has major impacts on epigenetic expression. I was just hearing about a study that was comparing siblings born to mothers who had a gastric band expansion. Now, if the gastric band expansion, if a child was born before the gastric band expansion in the fat mom or after, they were measuring the difference. And they had different outcomes in terms of would they get fat, would they not get fat? And it's really interesting. So it's never too early to start looking after your health. And a lot of people are worried about aging because they think, they've bought into this thinking, you get old, you get frail. Or you may be worried, I can't cope with things anymore, or things like that. And that's really not the case.
So it doesn't need to be that way. There are certain elements how we all progress through life and somehow age, which is another question I just popped into my mind. So how does that work, that we actually age? Is it like a DNA string and then at some point things fall off? So we are not carrying the same thing with us for a long time. We're trying, but at some point things are falling off our DNA string. Is that, have I seen that right in some
that brings up a whole other concept, and I will try to put it in such a way that I hope will be easy to understand.
Yeah.
We have our chromosomes, and at the end of the chromosome we have a structure called the telomere. The telomere is like the cap on a shoelace that protects the cap from fraying. So when that cap goes, the shoelace frays, and when the telomere goes, the DNA frays. That it gets damaged, and that's when illness and aging actually really properly sets in.
And how can we keep the cap on?
Good question. So there's studies now coming out. First of all, we can measure telomere length these days, which is really exciting. So if you actually want to know what your state is now, and if you're not young, don't worry, you can start taking care of your health today, and you can change your future today.
Okay, yeah.
So now is a good time.
Now is always a good time. Now is the only time, by the way. We're always now, but it's good if when we are listening to this, and maybe the two of us in replay as well, it is only just now. So no matter what we do with our time, no matter how our aging is going forward and how this cap is going to seal the aging or the illness process, it's how we look after ourselves in every moment. And this is why this topic is so important, because we don't know our future, but we can take action today and now. So what would you say is something people can do if we are almost finishing off here? What, and I know we could go on and on, we might need to and want to for a different time, but what is something people can take from this so that they feel that they are doing something right for their body, something which is, people know that they need to drink lots of water. People know that they should eat healthily. What are the things which you say from your expertise background people can take in, because it has such a big impact?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. And it brings up something that we have not really mentioned yet. You can actually change your DNA with your thoughts.
Now we are talking. Okay, what does that mean?
It means, if I want to give a practical tip, there was a study out comparing genetic expression and cellular health. And one part of the study, one group was going through rigorous lifestyle changes. So they did rigorous lifestyle, eating, fitness, sleep, those kind of things. And the other group, all they did was meditate. They did a transcendental meditation. And measuring the changes meant they found, surprisingly, that the changes for the lifestyle changing group and the meditation group in terms of telomere health and longevity had the same effect. So if you take that into account, the single simplest thing you could do is introduce a mindful meditation type of practice into your life. And it's very interesting. Automatically, if you do that regularly, your sleep will get better, which has other knock-on health effects. And sleep and telomere length are linked as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So something we can all do if we're not doing it already. If we do meditate already, then it's keep going and just feel the benefits and notice on different levels. Maybe you want to mix up meditation at some point and change the sort of meditation, but it is about resting during the day, resting your mind. That has this powerful effect, right?
Absolutely. And for somebody who's not familiar with meditating at all, even just sitting down and focusing on your breath and just giving you the space to be, even if you take a minute or two a day, that starts the changes.
Ah, fantastic. Thank you, Brigitt. I've got one very last question to you. And I would like to know from you, what is happiness for you?
Happiness for me is being who I want to be, doing what I want to do, and really being content with myself. And for me, this is really interesting. It's come really through the practice of self-acceptance and self-love.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Brigitt. I really am grateful for this interview and for how you were able to put it. And I'm hoping that everyone can take something from this. I certainly learned again a lot. And if there's anything the two of us want to add, we will do that in the comments. Maybe we want to share some links to, special tips and stuff like that. So yeah, is there anything you want to say as a last comment?
And if people have questions, I'm always happy to interact with people and answer the questions.
Oh, fantastic.
So don't hesitate.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Brigitt.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.